and push go on that button. And let's just sort of jump in. Small but mighty group tonight, so that's awesome. Adam is far away, of course, at US conference. And I think it's interesting. Oh, hang on.
Someone have a pet.
There we go. I think it's interesting. How do I make that? There we go. Oh. There we go. That's better. I think it's important that sometimes we forget, you and I, because we're on this special little intimate team, how unique our access to Adam is and Kira is. How many of you have had troubles getting Adam on the three-way calls? Anybody here? Because he's super, super busy. Right now, Adam is speaking at the US conference. He's now then been asked to go and speak all the way across Canada. I mean, he and Kira really have reinvented the entire Juice Plus company and the entire Juice Plus business. What they've done and what they've built has been extraordinary, particularly from all the way down here in Australia compared to where most big players in multi-level marketing, direct marketing companies come from, the big, large countries like the UK, like the US and so forth. So every time we get Adam around, we want to be uber grateful for that because he really is, I mean, he's a world class. I mean, that's a big sentence, but he's a world class, groundbreaking expert at what he does. What he and Kira are able to do in 3 years, nobody else in the world has been able to do. And I think it's important that we always remember that. So with that, we're in the last crazy week. We're at the 24th. We've got exactly 31 days. Tomorrow's Anzac Day, which means you get to get up at 2:30 or 3:30 in the morning and go to Anzac Day marches or memorial services at 4:30 in the morning. I'll certainly be doing that. Karina will be represented by me tomorrow morning at the 4:30 dawn service. I'll be representing her. She won't be part of that experience.
I'm going to the 9 a.m. service.
She goes to the late session. But then we've got all day to be commenting and talking to people. So with that, I'm curious what's on your schedule. I'm curious how many of you have got a plan of attack to pick up people for the next shred starting in 28th, 28th, I think, starting in 3 or 4 days' time. You've got a rolling start. You said Jess has got her hands up waving. So I'm curious, how many of you got a strategy for 29? Thank you for getting folks into the shred, or are you looking at your team and saying, who can I get to SDVF or DVF, or how can yourself? I know some of you are close to getting SC in the next 6, 7, 8 days before the end of this month. So I'm curious what your strategies are, what questions you've got, anything at all. This is our chance for open frame, ladies and gentlemen. So I will leave it up to you. Go. And this is the part of group calls where it goes quiet for the first half an hour.
Somebody just has to start.
I love that.
You know who that'll be?
Who, me?
Malia. He always jumps in because he's awesome. I was going to say, Scotty, for me, over the last 2 months, we were able to bring on 10 teamies. What advice would you have around trying to, I guess, help them duplicate and follow the system? What I'm finding right now is people find like it's not the right time or excuses come up. So I don't know, like what tips have you got?
It's a dance, it's the dance. And I think Yvonne had this experience as well where she was so fast at growing her business and so quick to get into SC that then she got to the stage where she now was spending, it's like, well, do I keep growing my own business or do I help them grow their businesses, and how do I find that? And one of the other challenges of bringing on teamies so quickly, and it's a quality challenge, is that you don't always get the time that you need to nurture them and have them do all the steps they're supposed to do. And let's be clear, everybody, it's not a sign-up club. None of us make any money from signing people up into the business. We want to have them stick. We want to have them stay. We want to have them grow. And to stick and stay and grow, I'd say the most important thing of all the things that are important is to plug them into the system, is to get them on to these calls. It's great that there's a dozen of us here, but it's crazy that there's a dozen of us here. There's 165 people in Team Deliberate, so we're at about 7%. That's one in what is that? 1 in 8, 1 in 9, 1 in 10 that are on the call. Less than that's 1 in 12 or something, whatever the number is. I'd say plug them in. I remember hearing from Lorian, the way to stay warm is to keep close to the fire. And I'd say just plug them in, man. I'd say I would really be making sure when you're taking them from customers to franchisees that you're really strongly letting them know that plugging in to the Tuesday night calls is imperative. I'd be doing that. That's the first thing I'd be doing, because you can't do it all. You can't. If you put on 5 teamies a month, and you've done it for 2 months in a row now, and you do that for 5 more months, that's 40 teamies. You can't possibly manage all those people, and as well as keep your business growing and doing new people. It just doesn't work. And so you've just got to find a way to plug them in the system and have the system do it. Does that make sense? And you'll find on a group call like this, if there's 30, 40, 50 people on the call, that their questions will get asked and answered by other folks. They won't even have to ask their questions. They'll like just hear their answers to their questions that have been unasked, because somebody else will ask them. So that's the first thing I'd say. The second thing I'd say is, you've got a little bit of influence over people because you're quite charismatic and you've got some persuasion skills. I would just make sure that you never, that you always make sure that you remember to find their reason why, and be always dangling that in front of them. You would know better than me that when someone says, haven't got time, my goldfish is sick, my dog ate my homework, it's raining outside, my cat's sick, blah, 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 you would know better than me that really just means they've lost focus on what this could be, and they've lost the emotion, either the pain of shitty job, shitty apartment, sadness at their spouse being away, working in a high fluoro yellow vest, or they've lost sight of the vision of what this could be. And so your job and my job is to keep them, keep them in that vision. Keep them in that vision. It's kind of what I'd say.
Well, another, I guess, layer to it as well that you might be able to give me some advice on is about 6 of them are over in WA. And so one of the things I hear from them often is now it's around already 6 o'clock their time at the moment. And some of them are only just getting home or not even home from work yet. And so I'm getting a bit of resistance from them that they kind of like, well, I'm not even able to get to the calls because it's just too early in the day for them.
So there's 2 obvious answers. The one is there is a Team Freestyle Western Australian calls. So you can plug them into the Team Freestyle Western Australian calls, or challenge them. And you set up your own Western Australian call and say, great, that would have to be whatever that is, 10:30 at night for you or something like that, I guess it would be. And say to them, great, okay, here's the deal, guys. If we get a minimum of 10 people to each call, that's the 6 of us plus me, plus you've got to bring 1 guest between 2 of you or whatever it happens to be, and set up your own team, make it happen, West Australian call, but challenge them and say, guys, you've got 2 options. You can join the big Team Freestyle West Australian call, or let's create our own, but let's really own West Australia, and you guys commit to coming to the calls. And if you commit to them, then you commit to doing them, and do 1 call a week at 10:30 at night.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'll do that.
I'll talk that over with Jess.
You do it.
Yeah.
Cool. You could switch it out and then encourage them, almost force them to raise themselves up sooner than they might otherwise raise themselves up by getting them to jump in and do the 5-minute pieces, do the popcorn and do the pyramid and so forth, and create a call.
Awesome. Good idea. Cheers to that.
Sally's asking me about customers, which is great. I'm not the most skilled and resourceful person to ask about customer retentions and when they cancel their calls. There you go. Nancy's saying she'd love to come to the WA call and be added to the WA program, so she's up for doing that. Sally, it's interesting. I've listened to lots of people like the amazing Ange Simpson and the amazing Kathy Feenan, and those women that have been very, very good at building customer businesses. When we were at Noosa, how many of you were at Noosa? No, Jess was there and Shane was there. When we were at Noosa, we had 4 ladies on stage, and all of them had over 80 customers in their business, which was just, that's a huge number. And it was interesting listening to them. They treat them like customers. I think I've certainly been guilty of saying, yes, I got a customer. And they placed their order and I added them to the JBT program, and that was it. And when I listen to what Ange Simpson does and what Kathy Feenan does, and those girls that have got 60, 70, 80, 90 customers, they are on the phone to them in the first 48 hours. Did you get your product? Fantastic. I'm so excited. In fact, they often call the company first and make sure the products have been shipped, and then they call them and say, have you got your product? Fantastic. Don't put it in the pantry, put it in the fruit bowl, put it somewhere you can see it, put it on the kitchen bench next to the sink and so forth. Talk to them about how to take it. They'll then contact them a week later and say, gosh, how have you been? How's it going? How have you felt about it? How's it happening for you and so forth? Then they contact them 2 weeks later and say, how's it going? Did you want to get your family involved? Do you want to get your wife taking it or your daughter taking it, your husband taking it and so forth? And then they'll contact them somewhere between 30 and 45 days later. Now, I know your question was about how do you speak to them when they want to cancel. I think that the best way to avoid them cancelling is to mitigate that by just early in the day. It's the old story of how do I straighten a lemon tree? Well, it's pretty simple. Don't let it grow crookedly. We know that if a client buys a book and reads it when they first purchase it, there's a much higher likelihood that they're going to then make a second purchase of another book of that author than if they buy the book and sit it on the bench for 3 months or 6 months. It's the same with our business. If we know that if the client's taking the product from day one, if their spouse is taking it from day one, we know it's going to have an impact on them. And if it's having an impact, they won't cancel their order. The only people who cancel their orders are the ones who put their Juice Plus. We all know folks who have done it. I've done it 10 years ago, and we put our Juice Plus in the pantry, in the drawer, in the cupboard. And when we start to see 2 or 3 boxes of it build up, we think, oh, that's stupid. That's a waste of money. So we cancel it. So I would say mitigation is the best way to do that. Because it's something that's in your control. Whereas once somebody starts to see 4 or 5 or 6 tubs of Juice Plus pile up on the kitchen bench, it gets pretty easy to go, oh, that's not working, that's not doing any good. People will not cancel if it's working for them and if they're taking it. If they're not taking it, then it won't be working and there's a possibility they could cancel it. Now, if someone legitimately has had financial hardship and they are saying they really need to cancel because of money, well, then obviously there's some pretty simple answers. Go help them find 3 customers, 5 customers. But my experience is that the people who cancel are the ones that never took it properly. And I'm open to anybody else who's got any other experience of that in any shape or form, but that's kind of my experience. Does that help at all?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Scotty.
Yeah, I said go watch a customer retention video from, again, someone specifically good like Ann Simpson or Kathy Feener. They're 2 ladies I know very well. And they've got like a 48-hour rule, a 5-day rule, a 10-day rule, a 30-day rule, a 60-day rule, and then a 90-day rule when it's 2 weeks out from being reordered. And they just touch them. They send them, the little sweet card, with something cool on the back, and then they send them a little sticker note, 30 days later, and they're just anchoring it in. And I heard a crazy stat on that day at Noosa that of all cancellations in Juice Plus, I want to say I think that it's like 76% cancel on the second order, so the first reorder.
Yeah.
So if you can get them over that first reorder, you've just decreased your cancellations by 75%.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's kind of like in your calendar, in your iCal, in your Google Calendars, put a 2-day marker, a 5-day marker, a 10-day marker, a 30-day marker, a 60-day marker, and then an 85 or a 90-day marker, and see if that makes sense. And with a sticker and a pretty flower and a pretty card, all of which you're good at, and see where that goes.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Scotty.
Cool. I'm going to put someone on the hot seat tonight and put Jason and Amanda under the hot seat tonight because I know they may have or may not have just got their first teamie. And I'm curious to know where your inspiration and motivation is at, guys. You've been doing this for a long time now. You grunted your way to SDVF the hard way. What is it that firstly, did your teamie get on board, and what is it that's keeping you going, and how are you feeling about the whole journey?
You want me to talk?
That was a yes. I just seen future, Jace, when your wife looks at you 3 times like that, that means you're supposed to talk.
Okay, so
did she get on board your teamie?
Yes and no. She's on board with the products. Loves the products. Yeah. Not really interested in it for the money point of view. Just has a massive heart and wants to help people. Basically, she said yes. She's also into loads and loads of other stuff. and she had an experience over the weekend which she's got a beautiful daughter with autism, so that's a big part of her world, and had a really how would you say, not life-threatening experience. Well,
Got caught in the rip.
yeah, got caught in the rip at the beach with her daughter. So, and I think that made her reflect on a whole bunch of stuff. And because she's doing so much, she just went, I really need to be fit and strong because I'm not healthy and I'm not in a position of physical strength as I know I should be, especially to keep my daughter safe. So her focus has shifted entirely from I want to help other people to, okay, I need to help myself first.
Good.
And great result with the shred. And then I'll focus on doing the business. So I just said, yep, look, that's perfectly fine. No worries at all. Totally support you in every way of what I possibly can through the shred, and we'll work on that first.
Fantastic. And I think, that's a great lesson for all of us to put yourself first and do that. Obviously, there's a roller coaster for you guys that go with that. I know you sent me some messages saying super excited, it's about to happen, and then it didn't happen. What's keeping you guys in? I mean, what's keeping you so, you're at these calls every single week, both calls. You haven't had a lot of success with getting teammates on board yet, but you've had some success with customers. What's keeping you in? What's keeping you strong?
I just have a belief that it's going to happen. Like I feel it in my heart. I know that it's going to happen for us and for anyone really who's got the time to commit to it, but we just haven't really committed as much time as we really want to or even need to. So I think for us, it's been a consistency thing with all of the other stuff that's going on in our life. Like everyone else, we're busy. So it's just a matter of sticking with it. And I'm like, I know it will happen if we can just stick with it and do it and just make time to do the do's. So we're getting towards the end of our renovations now. So I can see the light at the end of that tunnel. So yeah.
It is, yeah. And I think you mentioned it a few minutes ago, Scott, it's focus. Like our focus has been on things that we've considered a higher urgency or a higher priority maybe. And as much as, even myself, like as much as I want this and I can see exactly like there's potential to build something amazing out of this business. It's there for everybody. But I know that if I go and participate in March Blitz, for example, and do a half hour a night and start all these new conversations, I also need to make sure that I have time to then, touch those people a few times for every single person I generate a new discussion with to make it work. Because if I just start a conversation and drop them, then why have I put the effort in the first place? It's hard to pick that conversation back up again and keep the excitement going. So then I see the strategy then changes to all those people I've sort of started a conversation with. So.
It's interesting, and this is something I think it's important to understand about time. And I really did put Jason Amanda on the spot tonight because they didn't know I was going to do this. But I think it's important for all of us that we don't confuse duration with time. And by that I mean is it's important not to say, oh, look, I've been building the business for a year now and we're still only SDBF or whatever the analogy happens to be. It's important for all of us that we understand that this business is a direct relationship between hours put in and ability to follow the system. That's it. And so if we measure things in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, that's probably not an effective measurement of time. It's an effective measure of duration. It's like I've been a member of the gym for a year, but I haven't been going 3 times a week for a year. I might go once every 2 months. And so it's not that the gym didn't work. It's not that my year-long membership didn't work. And so I didn't put the time in. So I love that you guys are still doing it. You're still here. You're still putting it in. I know you've been distracted by your renovations. I see all the posts and all the pictures and so on of all the amazing things you're making your kids do in the backyard and your husband's doing and you're doing as well, Amanda, on the weekends, which is awesome. We all do. We all get distracted by things that are short-term in front of us. But maybe it's because I'm 10 years older than you guys. and I see what it takes to build financial security and financial freedom. And I would quote the amazing Adam Westwick and just say, if not this, then what is it going to be? And if not now, then when? When I was talking to an ex-client this morning about the level of financial success that we have right now and the level of financial comfort that we have in our lives, and everything we have today came from some really tough, big decisions that we were making 10 and 12 and 13 years ago. It didn't just come in the last 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. From the shitty, tiny little house that we lived in, that wasn't shitty, the small house that we lived in that had terracotta tiles and green walls and
blue blinds,
a pine kitchen and blue Venetian blinds, and the outside of the house was apricot Gold Coast sort of peachy colour. That was the house. And we did what you guys did. We renovated it to look beautiful, and then we moved out a week later. And did that. I know that I look at what we've created in our other business. I look at what Adam and Kira have created in their lifestyle right now, and doing the hard yards now, doing the 5, 7, 10 hours a week now. People like Kathy who are building a business, the bigger business than that, the 10, the 12, the 15, the 20 hours a week, 20 hours a week businesses now is how you build those 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 club businesses that bring the $5,000 and $10,000. So I would just get you to remind yourself to say, where do we want to be in 3 years' time? And is what I'm doing today moving me towards where I want to be in 3 years' time? Because it's all quick. So thanks for jumping on. Apologise for putting you on the spot.
Thanks.
No, that's cool. I appreciate it.
Keep going. Sally's asking me, Scotty, can you talk about some great ways to continue to build self-belief? I know taking action is imperative to this too, making a leap from feeling resistant to taking action to increase self-belief. Look, that's a big conversation, Sally. And certainly I don't think that I ever doubt this business. The business works. When we talk about self-belief, I think, one of the most effective strategies, and jump in, please, my sweet, whenever you want, is just to take action. This is not a complicated business. You get out your phone, and in the words of Laurie and Cameron, who's not the brightest spark you're ever going to meet, and he doesn't mind saying that, you literally get on your phone and you go, hey, how's it going? Now, Sally, you probably don't say that because you speak nicer than that, but that's what Laurie says. And he just does that 10 times a day. And I know that then leads to, as Jason said, well, that means you got to retouch them in 3 days and there's a follow-up. But I think that just gets momentum for all of us. Momentum's a crazy powerful drug, and it works sadly in both ways. A little bit of stuck momentum, a little bit of friction. We've all had that happen. All of a sudden, all the brakes stop and all the wheels come off and everything fucking stops. But it works the other way as well, which means, I don't know about you, but 5 PMs, all of a sudden you feel like you're Superman. 2 sending outs of a link to an event, and all of a sudden you feel 10 foot tall again. So it's a bit like, I'm not a big fan of discipline. I'm not a big fan of needing more discipline or more self-belief. I just say, just take some action. And the action will wash away the doubt. The action will wash away the uncertainty. Keeping the action simple by reaching out, by just saying, hey, how's it going? Hey, how you doing? Literally just 5 times a day, and seeing what that leads to, or let that lead to conversations.
I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, because I would say I am very much a thinker and I get lost in my thoughts. Is the trying to find the belief means you get stuck in the cycle to find belief. Like, you're just feeding that cycle of trying to find one more thing to find the belief, rather than, like Scott was saying, that point where you just act. You don't question any longer. It's like at some point in time, we've all stopped questioning whether or not there is value in brushing our teeth. We just know we need to do it, even when we're tired, late night in bed. We know we need to do it.
Well, I think Sally's questioning herself, her own self-belief.
Yes, and that's why I say at that point, if you're somebody who has all these thoughts going on in their mind, the way to stop it is to not question it any longer.
Yeah.
Is to just do it.
Yeah.
Because the questioning is a bad cycle.
Well, because the minute you question anything, whether you question the products, you question the JBT program, you question the system Team Freestyle has, you question yourself, am I good enough, tall enough, skinny enough, short enough, blah, 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 enough. The minute you question something, you induce doubt. That's the point of questions, to induce doubt. And so I just sometimes think it's just, don't ask the question. You know, just how tall would you walk, and how amazing would we all feel if you literally just 5 times a day or 10 times a day just went, hey, how's it going? Hey, how you doing? Hey, whatever. I just think that would lead to something. So it's kind of my thoughts on that. And if you really still are stuck in a dark cave, do what you've done tonight, which is come out of the cave and come sit by the fire and be warm. I think that I don't think you need to have any doubts at all that you specifically are an extraordinary human being and a beautiful woman with a kind heart who spent more than $100,000 on your personal growth journey in the last 10 years. You've done the work on yourself. You've done the work with your children. You continue to do work with amazing clients and people. Certainly I don't know anybody who's questioning your ability, your intent, your skill set, or your capacity to build this business, Sally Holden, in any way, shape, or form, except that bitch that fucking lives in your mirror above the bathroom sink. And she's not serving you because everybody else I know just thinks Sally's a rock star. I think sometimes you are the big puppy in the fight, and you see the little puppy in the fight, and you see the little puppy and you think you're a little puppy, but you're not. You're a big puppy, but you just haven't yet fully extended yourself, because I literally think you're extraordinary and have enormous capacity to serve hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people.
Thanks, Scotty.
So it's kind of all I got.
Yeah.
I
think what...
Take it.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think what Karina was saying, it's that process of definitely, the questioning, and then you focused on what you're trying to fix as opposed to what you really want. So, I think just stop doing that. Out of the head, back in the heart.
Get out of the questions. What does my good friend Tony say? Get in your head and you're dead. I think if we questioned, how does the internet work? How does electricity work? How does this thing? How the hell does this thing work? And if we question everything, we question, does she really love me, or why does she love me? Or if we just, I think when we question things, I think in the beginning, it's good to question things. So when you first do your research and you first check things out and you first are exploring somebody or discovering something, I think it's important to question it. And that's how we move forward. That's how we elicit curiosity and elicit understanding and create awareness. But I think eventually when you say, that's it, I'm in this relationship, I'm in this business, I'm in this particular lifestyle, I think you have to shut the questioning down. It's knowing that the questioning is really, whether you call it your monkey mind, if you know the concept of the 1 minute manager, it's your ego, if you know that works in spiritual work. It's the voice that wants to keep you small for all of us. When we have questions of doubt, uncertainty, can I, should I, will I, can't I, won't I, all of those questions are voices of our darker demons that just want to keep us safe and small and don't want us to be extraordinary. It's that simple. And we have to get into our heart and our spirit and all those beautiful colored chakras. That is the truth of our spirit, as opposed to the ego and the physicality of our humanity, which is fear and all those silly things.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Scotty.
Thanks, we love you.
And thanks, Karina. Love you guys too.
Vanessa's asking me on the subject of belief, what could I say to a potential teamie who's done previous businesses and believes in the business structure but doesn't believe she is able to do it? Look, just feel found, Ness. I mean, I love when I talk to people who have been in other similar businesses. I love that, because it means they've already believe in the system. They already believe in the model. You don't have to convince them of anything. I just have to convince them that we have the best product. We have the best program. We have the best system. And just do the whole feel, felt, found with them, Ness. Just say, you know what, I totally get how you feel. when I first came into this business, I felt exactly the same. I didn't think I was going to be able to build it. Everybody who was building it was amazing and incredible and tall and shiny and polished, and I'm not that. And so here's what I found. What I found is in the community, I met a whole lot of fat, stupid, dumb, poor people. I'm saying that as a joke. And they could all build the business too. And I know I make jokes about Laurie, and Laurie Cameron's my fucking idol. I mean, I love it, Laurie Cameron. He's covered in tattoos. He's a little bit dyslexic. I mean, seriously, if you send a text message from Laurie Cameron, it's tough to read. He is a great example of plugging into the system and just being persistent. He's so coachable. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's just a rock star. He's my guru because he's out there building this huge 100 club plus business, impacting thousands of lives. He gets asked to speak on stage, not just around the country, around the world. And I would just use examples that you found that resonate with you in the business. That's why it's important to go to meetings and listen to calls and watch videos on both the Team Freestyle and Team Deliver page to find references that you can draw upon. We go, you know what, babe, I know how you feel. I felt the same. And then I met my friend Laurie, or then I met my friend Scott, or then I met my friend whoever, and who I found, and use them as examples. So that's why I would do that.
I'd even look back to some of Kira's recordings for when she's speaking, because she shares herself, her story, that she is that quiet person. And she was, in the past, she would have described herself as a complete introvert, and was not excited about this business and was resistant, except that Adam was doing so well and they were in massive pain. So she had her why. She had a reason why she wanted to be successful. So I'd go back to Vanessa, that one. What's her why? You know, right now, if she doesn't believe she's able to do it, maybe she hasn't connected with her why strong enough, her reason for needing, not just wanting, but actually needing it to work for her. And then, I mean, I always love the fact that we have so many great recordings where the stories are told through the recordings. And Kira shares her story so beautifully that, I mean, she's not your typical MLM kind of person, and that's what I love. There is no specific demographic. Every walk of life is successful. And we all have found our own way through it. And so sharing stories like Kira's can be another empowering way for her, this teamie of yours, to find, well, maybe she just needs to reframe how she sees herself or has seen herself, or who else has been able to do it. Bring them to conference. That's the other thing. Conference is such an amazing way to invite someone, say, if there is any part of you that wants this to work, just even tap into the want. Come, because I guarantee you're going to see some extraordinary people, extraordinary stories of ordinary people. That's what I love. It's extraordinary stories from ordinary people who've done phenomenal things. So that's another way to invite them as well.
Cool. Thanks, my love. Sweet. What else? Who's got some success they want to share? Someone's unmuted themselves. Go ahead.
Scotty, I was just going to ask, one of the, this might be the part of the in your head you're dead kind of stuff as well, but I know there's times when and Shane might have some words about this too, but when I go to post, I'm kind of unsure in terms of post, because I've got the coaching business that I kind of have an identity there, and the Juice Plus stuff, and I'm kind of like, I kind of get to this probably in my head and dead of I don't really know what to kind of go with the post, because I don't want to trying to build an image in one space and then in another, and they're not the same. Like, I'm not a health coach. There's other stuff that I do that I want to sort of focus the coaching on. So you got any advice for direct messages? I'm fine. I can kind of, compartmentalize that, but I post itself.
Then I'm in the same boat, obviously, and so to other folks who've got this business and then that business. Look, I'm not. If I had to lean one way or the other in terms of how to build this business, I lean Adam's way and not Kira's way. So I lean that way of, I think, direct messaging, I think direct contacts, I think handshaking, I think belly to belly, I think person to person is the more effective way. Now, certainly you can argue the opposite and go, no, Facebook and advertising and leads and Brian Marsh and Kira, so on, like that. So I would say land where you feel most comfortable. So if you feel most comfortable in PMing people and direct messaging them, then just do that. And if you feel like that you've already got a bit of an identity from posting, then just post things that are of that ilk in your traditional business, your coaching business, your traditional business, but be building up likes and be building up friends and be building up relationships in that model, but then be having conversations offline with them.
Yep.
I also think there's two, a Facebook post is not a tattoo. The power and the longevity of a Facebook post is about 5 minutes. And so don't ever think to yourself, oh my gosh, people are getting confused by their messages. Trust me. Firstly, people are not even reading your messages. There's that great song called You're So Vain. It says you probably think the song is about you. Trust me. I've ummed and ahed sometimes and spent 2 hours thinking about my Facebook Live and realised, hang on, I'm not making an Oscar-winning film. I'm making a 6-minute video that probably 400 people are going to watch and they're never going to see it again. So I would just say, just fucking do it. Like, seriously, just do it. And if 5 people see it and 3 people like it, that's a success. Direct message those 3 people, say, hey, I saw you liked my post. How you doing? And start a conversation. I think sometimes, we overthink it. It's not a tattoo. It's a Facebook post. Your brand isn't going to get crushed. Your brand as a coach isn't going to get crushed if you post things about health and so on. And obviously, the only caveat to that is to continually posting of value and not of douchebagness. So there's all the words from, what's his name? What's the Asian guy's name? Simon Chen. So all those words not to use from Simon Chen. So don't use the word, opportunity and 6-figure income, and don't use all those words that seem a bit salesy and multi-level marketing-ish kind of now. And Simon Chen, obviously, when you watch MLM Nation videos and podcasts and so forth, he's got the language to use and not use. But as long as you're posting of value, look, people are still watching Neighbours after 35 years. So, because they're finding it valuable. So as long as you're posting of value and creating interest, whatever guise you're doing that under, whether it's as your traditional business or this business, engage in conversations. If you've got to wear a fucking pink hat to the football, wear a pink hat to the football. And somebody's like, dude, what's with your pink hat? And have that be the thing that allows you to go, do you like my pink hat? Hey, yeah, nice to meet you. And once you've said how you're going, then ask 3 other questions. Are you married? Do you like fish, cats, or dogs? What do you do for work? You've now started a conversation, and then they get to have the conversation back with you, and the conversation's begun because you had a pink hat. Shane or Jess, what do you got?
Yeah, Dave, one of the things that I find works to complement what Scotty's saying is think about 3 to 5 things that you're passionate about or that you represent. So one of the things that you represent is coaching. And then you think about what else do you personally represent as well. So I sort of represent, health. I represent mindset. I'm quite passionate about money mindset. So I've just listed probably 5 topics, and I cycle through my posts on those 5 topics because I want to kind of keep, that's what I represent, these sort of 5 topics. And I don't want to get too caught up in just my coaching business. I don't want to be too caught up in one thing. I want to show a bit of that human side of me as well. I think that's going to make you more endearing to other people as well. So that's a system that I use is, what are 3 to 5 things that represent you, one being coaching, and then what are 2 or 4 others, and then just keep cycling through that.
It's a spectacular comment, Shane, and I've heard that done before, and I've done that. Dave, tell me immediately, what's 3 to 5 things that you think you can hang your hat on? There's 1 or 2 that scream out to me that are key components of your life that I don't see you post about very often. What's the 3 to 5 things that you think you should be consistently posting about?
Well, I think Shane nailed a couple of them there. Like certainly health, coaching, health would be the first 2 that come straight to mind. I don't know what comes to your mind. Not those.
You and your wife have been more committed to health than almost anybody I know for a long time. So lots of comments about health. Personal development, your work outside of my work and our work and outside of personal Tony Robbins, but you're committed to personal development really for a long time, more than 10 years. The concept of family, I know you're very committed to family with Jess's family, your immediate family, your own family. I know that family is uber important to you. I don't know where you sit values wise with your incredibly challenging experiences you've had becoming a parent, and where that sits with you, what it's been like to have a very, very premature child and the challenges that brought to you and your family. There's parts of it you may want to share and parts you don't want to share, but I think that's a very big, huge part of your life that lots of other people would relate to in some way, shape or form. Some very dear friends of mine just had a child and, they've had, 10 miscarriages in 8 years. And I know that that's been a whole journey with them, and then the IVF journey that goes with that. So I think you're an expert in whatever you call that, the family, the trauma of building families the way you build a family. So that's something that could be important to you, I think. And then maybe acting and whatever that meant for you in terms of, or maybe mentoring people, because you're a full-time mentor now. I mean, you're mentoring 20 or 30 people, a week. Not many people are actually mentoring people, and the value of mentoring and how much value you get yourself out of mentoring people and how much value they get and how much it fulfills you to be able to mentor them. So for those of you listening right now, a simple question. When you hear your favorite song on the radio, what do? Do you turn it up or turn it down? What do? You turn it up. So don't be thinking that all your posts have got to be new and fresh and crazy and exciting. As Shane said, you want to have those 3 to 5 hot hits that are your 3 to 5 things. And that's kind of the thing you get to be known for. Rotate them around like Shane said, but don't be thinking that everything has to be reinvention of the wheel. Now, you can't be copying somebody else's 3 to 5 things. They've got to be 3 to 5 things that bring your human element to, that you're excited about, that you've read or you've experienced or you shared or you actually did, something like that. And I think that if you do that consistently, I think people will be attracted to you. It's like Adam says, if you're interested in golf, triathlons and football, then comment about golf, triathlons and football, and you will start enough conversations through those 3 vehicles to eventually say, how's it going? How's business? How's your life? How's your cat? How's your dog? What do you do for work? Oh, great. How's that going? And eventually when you've asked somebody 3 to 5 questions on Facebook or in a cafe or at the Virgin Lounge, eventually by the 5th question, all of them, unless they're completely socially stunted, are going to say, oh, what about you? Are you married? Do you have a business? What do you do? And then away you go, and it starts from there. Don't be thinking that every post has to be about Juice Plus or about online business or about this. It could be just about things you're passionately interested in that you want to engage other folks in.
Thank you.
I'd like to see some posts from you on that. Cool. Other than that, listen, I've got a call in about 8 or 9 minutes, a 3-way, because we take 3-ways in this business. I am open for business with 3-ways, ladies and gentlemen. All you need to do is message me in the dialogue box. If you get me answering it, it probably won't be me. It'll probably be my assistant, Jessica, is answering those. If you've got questions about my schedule, message her directly, and I think her name is Admina. Some of you have probably seen that. If you haven't, please do that. I am happy to take as many 3-ways as you can possibly fit into your calendar, ladies and gentlemen. I know some of you are starting to have others do your 3-ways. You're having to do something to your own 3-ways, which is kind of great. But never underestimate the power of a third-party referral. So if you're doing 3-ways, you should do them for your frontlines people. If it's your frontline yourself, there's so much power in having a third person do the 3-way for you. We're at the 24th of the month. That means there's 7 days left to make magic happen. I wonder what magic is going to happen in the next 7 days. I'll look forward to seeing that. Anything else you need to add, my sweet love?
Excited for the countdown to conference. 8 weeks to go.
It is 8 weeks to go. I know Melanie and Karina were talking about booking flights. Jason's doing the dance there. Are you guys both going, Jason and Amanda? You are both going. Look, it's just an awesome, awesome thing. Everybody we know says that you go to conference and that's how you see that this whole thing is real and genuine and fair income. So with that, go get busy. It's only 10 to 9. Go get on the phones. Go get on Facebook. Go get wild, crazy posting. Anything else we can do to serve you, you know where to find us. We're here to support you guys. I am looking forward to seeing what happens in the next week. Till then, live deliberately. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, guys. Bye. Thanks, Alan.
Bye. See you guys. Thank you.
Bye. See you, Megan.
Bye.